Wow, it's been crazy to think 3 years since I've done a Mariners playoff post-game recap where the Mariners lost to the Astros in 2022. And 3 years later, 2,700 subscribers later, things doesn't seem to change. And it doesn't change because the Mariners just lost their first game in the American League Division Series against the Detroit Tigers. And boy, when I was watching that game, I was just boiling in frustration. I was like rage texting some of my friends, social media, you name it. But of course, I had to examine numbers, get other thoughts about the game from other opinions, like Jay Trident podcast I was talking to. And wow, before I get into the recap of this game, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And also, if you are planning to go to the Mariners game tomorrow off of SeatGeek, use that promo code RoofTopSports to get $20 off the purchase. Use that $20 to go get some nice Chinese food at Jade's Garden or wherever you want to go in Chinatown and get some food, because you're going to need some real good, authentic food, especially the fact that the Mariners are going to be playing against Tariq Skubal for Game 2 of the American League Division Series. Now, I'll admit it, I was very excited, but I was also very, very nervous about the playoff game because the Mariners had to go on an insane winning streak just to get the second seed in the playoffs, or let alone just make the playoffs. But at the same time, I was nervous because, either way, I didn't know how it was going to match up for the Mariners, either against the Cleveland Guardians or against the Detroit Tigers, because Detroit Tigers, they are consisted of Tariq Skubal, best pitcher in baseball, where for this series, the Mariners will have to face him at least 2 times. And even Cleveland, Mariners have had their problems too. So either way, Mariners were going to have to come out regardless of who the team was. And it seemed that they were just doing so, as George Kirby was off to a very good start as a starter. Here's how he did in the game overall. George Kirby, 5 innings of work, gave up 6 hits, including that one terrifying home run by Kerry Carpenter, but he had 8 strikeouts, so he actually was pitching pretty well. It looked like things were going in the Mariners' direction, with the exception that the offense was just absolutely terrible. And it wasn't until the 4th inning when Julio Rodriguez hit his first ever home run of his playoff career, and he was actually the best player on the team aside from Cal Raleigh. The only difference between Cal Raleigh and Julio was Cal Raleigh hit 3 singles, and Julio drove in 2 runs. But it still looked like, even with the offensive struggle, it looked like the momentum was going in the Mariners' direction with that home run. And then the next inning happened where George Kirby got someone on base, and then Kerry Carpenter was up to the plate. And the worst part of it, this was on 2 outs. George Kirby nearly got the guy struck out, but the umpire controversially called it a ball when I thought it was going to be a strike. But then when I looked at the replay again, it actually was a ball. Even the ABS would have not saved you on that one. But yet we see a lot of Mariner fans saying that this was the umpire's fault, saying that he got screwed over. But the bottom line is it was a problem even before that, because Kerry Carpenter against George Kirby absolutely feasts on George Kirby. We're talking 4 home runs. I'll look it up myself. Kerry Carpenter against George Kirby. He is 4 for 8 with 4 home runs and 7 RBIs. Now, sure, George Kirby was already dealing them hot. He got a strikeout off of him, but the thing is, it doesn't matter. I think this, now it's easy to say in hindsight, but if you have that much available data in front of you, especially for Jerry Dipoto, who preaches on analytics and all of that, you sure didn't pay attention to the fact that George Kirby, he has given up 4 home runs to Kerry Carpenter, and you still let him pitch, but yet the narrative says is that it was the umpire's fault for not calling a strike when it was a ball, barely. And even the ABS strike zone would have not made a difference anyway, because ABS still would have said it was a ball. But that led to that Kerry Carpenter home run. And the only thing I would have really done is you either pull George Kirby, let the bullpen take care of Carpenter, or you just get him intentionally walked and then take your chances with Riley Green, which you can't really do much worse. I'll look up Riley Green's numbers. Riley Green has even due against Kirby. He is 2 for 9. He's 2 for 9. So analytically, you should have just let George Kirby just intentionally walk Kerry Carpenter, because you were not going to get an out on Kerry Carpenter, especially as someone that was 4 of 8 at the time, and you still let him pitch. I think that's on the leadership of Dan Wilson on that one. And then it gets even worse, where now you have to use your bullpen. And then Caleb Ferguson, who took 17 pitches to get out of the inning. And then you used Eduardo Bizzardo towards the end of the inning. Only 3 pitches, just 3, to get out of the inning, when you didn't even give him one more inning. And the only reason they took away Eduardo Bizzardo for Gabe Spire was it was for the lefty-righty matchup, which I'll be honest, I'm sick of the whole lefty-righty matchup. I don't think it matters. It really doesn't matter, especially when it gets to a point when you're playing the matchup game, you're depleting your entire bullpen. Now, granted, the Tigers used a lot of their bullpen as well, but it doesn't mean that the Mariners had to do the same thing themselves. I mean, pitchers that I think should have gotten one extra inning is definitely Eduardo Bizzardo. He only had 3 pitches. 2 of them were strikes, by the way, so he was already efficient for that one batter. Then Gabe Spire, only 13 pitches. Matt Brash, now he didn't really pitch that great. I mean, he walked, but he struck out 2, so never mind, he was actually great. But he had 17 pitches. But because the critical error, I thought, was not letting Bizzardo just pitch a full inning, and same with Gabe Spire, who was only on 13 pitches, that could have saved arms for Matt Brash and Andres Munoz, because Andres Munoz had to go through 2 innings of work just to keep the Mariners in the game. And I thought, man, I can't believe they actually would. I mean, they didn't have a choice but to put in Andres Munoz for the bullpen. But then, because you were thinning out your bullpen so much, because you thinned them out so much, you were forced to pitch Carlos Vargas. And even then, I think there were still other pitchers that were available that you could have used. Maybe you could have used a Luke Jackson, even though he's not that great of a pitcher either. But not Carlos Vargas, because the problem with Carlos Vargas, he was absolutely wild. He can't read a strike zone. He can't pitch accurate at all. The only thing he's really got going from is the speed, like his velocity. But that's really about it. You got to you got to the speed doesn't really matter if you're not getting the guys out and if you're just walking. And he did that wild pitch, which led to the runner to get to second base. And this was an extra innings, by the way, and that's what led to the RBI single. And that was done by Zach McKinstry. So you're losing the players that, to a more of a bottom feeder guy. And then eventually, because of that, Mariners just seem to throw in the towel. And now I'm talking about the bullpen so much, but let's talk about the offense. The only guys that really got base hits were Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez, and only 2 other more players got on base. It was Josh Naylor, which, by the way, he's expecting a baby, so now I'm wondering what that's going to do for the team and his availability. Then you got Randy Arozarena. He walked, but he didn't do anything else. Like, let's look at all the numbers. Randy Arozarena, 0 for 4. Cal Raleigh, 3 for 5. Julio Rodriguez, 3 for 5. Josh Naylor, 0 for 4. Jorge Polanco, 0 for 4. Eugenio Suarez, 2 strikeouts and 0 for 4. Dom Canzone, 0 for 4. Victor Robles, 0 for 2. Luke Raley, 0 for 2. And J.P. Crawford, 0 for 4. And that was why they struck out 8 times in this game. Now, usually it's better than like the less than 10, which the Mariners are more used to. But the Mariners just simply disappointed. And when you have only Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh getting the hits, you're not going to win that many ball games when you do that. And the other thing I think that really needs to change is starting lineup. Like, I would rather have Victor Robles start over Randy Arozarena. I don't like Randy as a leadoff hitter. I never did. The numbers even back up the fact that it just doesn't work. Like, maybe it worked in regular season, but the Mariners got insanely lucky through that huge month of September that they had. And even when you look at the numbers of Randy Arozarena, and I'm just playing with analytics, I'm just following whatever Jerry Dipoto follows, but he doesn't seem to follow it because his batting average against, as a leadoff hitter, if you look at it, he bats .218. When he's a 3 hitter, he's a .368 hitter. When he's batting 4th, he's at least, .224, but with a .335 on base percentage. So he will make up for that. But then, and batting 5th, he's a .277 hitter and .380. Like, why can't Jerry Dipoto and Dan Wilson pay attention to this? Like, I'm actually fully convinced that they're not using Baseball Reference. Like, you have the data right in front of you that Randy Arozarena cannot be a leadoff hitter. He really just can't. And that belongs to like Victor Robles and at least J.P. Crawford. But they won't even do that either. And the other frustrating part was watching Luke Raley pinch hit for Victor Robles because of, quote, matchups. But at this point, it doesn't matter because they were both 200 hitters. And Luke Raley has just not been good all season. He's been just getting all those injuries on him. So it wasn't. That's why it was not going to work. That's why you cannot just keep playing with the matchups. And worst of all, the offense was really frustrating to watch because all they were doing was just trying to hit home runs. And as if I came back from just my softball tournament, my team just kept trying to hit home runs when I was like, no, just let's play some small ball. And that's something that the Mariners didn't even do. They did not play small ball baseball. They don't make good lineups. And that's why you're going to have games where you lose. And to make matters worse, Mariners are going to be going up against Tariq Skubal tomorrow, Game 2 of the American League Division Series. And if you're a Mariners fan and you put it in the comments, which I encourage you to do, if you think that this series is over, I won't judge you for it. I won't consider you as like a negative Nancy. I'll just consider you someone that just is honest and telling the truth because you're going up against Tariq Skubal. Sure, the Mariners did well against Skubal in the regular season, but there's a key word. Keywords. Regular season. That does not translate to postseason baseball. Like the Mariners, they went 6-3 against the New York Yankees in 2001. And then in the playoff time in the American League Championship Series, they got absolutely just murdered and demolished 4 games to 1. So going in tomorrow, Mariners have got to just buckle down and figure it out against Tariq Skubal, literally the best pitcher in Major League Baseball. And now I just want to look up the split stats. When as a leadoff hitter, he's at least a .273 hitter, but they won't put him in there. They put him in spots where it just doesn't work. And all I can say is, if the Mariners are not super careful, they'll be going down 0-2, especially against Tariq Skubal. Like, there is absolutely no room for error because the next couple games in Detroit will not be easy. You're going to have Jack O'Flaherty and Casey Mize going up against the likes of Logan Gilbert. Yeah, against Logan Gilbert. But the thing is, what are you going to do for game 4? Is it going to be another bullpen day? Is George Kirby just going to pitch at an expedited time? I don't know, because Mariners, they did struggle today. They played horribly. Their hitters are absolutely terrible, except Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez. Just absolutely just unbelievable. And anyone who wants to vent about the Mariners right now, like I'm doing right now myself, I won't delete your comment. I will let those opinions materialize. So tomorrow, Tariq Skubal, Mariners better find a win, because this is a potential American League Cy Young candidate. So Mariners, please just don't blow it going into tomorrow. At least win the game, because you don't play well in Detroit either, especially in Comerica Park. But all I can say is Godspeed. Well, that's going to do it. I just thought that I got all that venting out of the way and out of my chest. But yeah, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And thanks for watching.